Dear students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Imtiaz Hassan from Jamia Millia Islamia. Today I am going to talk on static light scattering under the paper 10 of biophysics. In this module, we are going to discuss on the topics related to the static light scattering. In the module static light scattering, we will talk about the first basic principle of static light scattering. Then we will discuss about the static light scattering in detail. Then Rayleigh equation, followed by equation derivation, how the Rayleigh equation has been derived. Then we will talk something about the limitations of Rayleigh-Debye scattering. Then what are the different types of static light scattering, and then how the data are analyzed, and at last we will discuss about the biological significance of static light scattering in detail. Light scattering is simply defined when a beam of objects interact with the light or scattered in the different direction, and this scattered light enters into our eye, and eye lens forms an image on the retina of the eye. The light scattering is the consequence of interaction of light with the electric field of the small particle or the molecule, process by which particles suspended in the medium of a different index of refraction diffuse in a proportion of incident radiation in all direction. This radiation energy is so called scattered light. No energy transformation results when a change in the spatial distribution of the radiation. As the electromagnetic wave interacts with the matter, the electron orbits within the constituent of the molecule are perturbed periodically with the same frequency as the electric field of the incident wave. The oscillating induced dipole moment is manifest as a source of electromagnetic radiation, thereby resulting in scattering of the light. The majority of the light scattered by the particle is emitted in identical frequency on the incident light, and process is referred as static light scattering. Here we will talk about why light is scattered. An oscillating dipole emits electromagnetic radiation in all directions, induced dipole momentum, that is the oscillating, and it is given as the momentum of the dipole moment is given mu equals to alpha, which is the polarizability, into m, that is the mass of the dipole, and E naught, that is the energy of the laser. So, it is derived as I of the r equals to I naught into pi square alpha square divided by r square into lambda to the power 4. The scattering intensity is proportional to the square of the particle's molecular weight, and the scattered light is proportional to the concentration of particle, which is given here in the form of vector. Here we discuss about the how the light is scattered and what are the different types of the light scattering. Scattering is broadly divided into three broad category. One is the Rayleigh scattering, that is the from molecules clear in air, that is mainly, and the Rayleigh scattering is further divided into Mie scattering, that is the large particles predominantly, and scattering from the atmosphere. These are that gives the most of the scattering process. The other scattering occurs in the solid, and that is the Brillouin scattering, which can be takes from the Bragg's scattering. And the third one is the Raman scattering, which is further discussed in the form of Compton scattering. So, a formal light scattering may be categorized in terms of two theoretical framework. One is the theory of the Rayleigh scattering, that is strictly speaking as a originally formulated applicable to a small dielectric, that is a non-absorbing spherical particle. The second is the Mie scattering, that encompasses the general spherical scattering in solution, that is the absorbing or non-absorbing without a particular bound on the particle size. Now, we discuss about the different types of light scattering. It is broadly classified into two groups. One is the static light scattering. It gives the average molecular weight of the macromolecules by measuring the intensity of a scattered light by molecules in the solution. It is determined by the observation, but not fixed in the space. For example, if the observer move, a scattering plane will move with the observer. You can see here in the figure. The second types of light scattering is known as dynamic light scattering. It is also used to determine the size of molecule in solution by measuring the temporal fluctuations in the intensity or by photon correlation spectroscopy. That is the mainly depending on the Brownian motion of the particle. Now, we discuss about the static light scattering. Static light scattering is an optical technique that measures the intensity of a scattered light in dependence of the scattering light to obtain the information of the scattering source. A typical application of a scattering light scattering is the determination of the weight average, that is the molecular weight of a macromolecules such as polymer or a protein. Other popular application of SLS are the measurement of the radius of the gyration, that is the Rg value, that is in the form of a structure factor. By measuring the scattering light intensity for one molecule at various concentration, and the third is the second virial coefficient A2, which can be calculated. A spatial analysis technique such as Zimmermann, ZIMS or Gainer plot can use to obtain the optimum results of from the measured data. Now, we talk about the basic principle of the scattering light scattering. You can think that from the intensity of fluctuation in time, information on the dynamics within the solution are obtained. The evaluation of fluctuation is commonly named as dynamic light scattering, while the analysis of absolute mean intensity is known as static light scattering, that is referred as SLS. The intensity is very sensitive to the variation in size of the solute, so that it is advantageous to investigate aggregation in the solution. The scattering vector Q is defined as the difference between the outgoing and incoming wave vector, and its magnitude is given as the intensity of a scattered light by a molecule is depending on its molecular weight and the size. These relationships are described by Rayleigh theory, which states that the molecular weight of a molecule is proportional to the Rayleigh ratio of the scattered light, that is the ratio of scattered light intensity to the incident light intensity. Now, we talk about the fundamental principle of the static light scattering. The simple principle is that the size or molecular weight of any molecular particle can be determined by the pattern of intensity of the light that you can get after the measuring static light scattering. So, the intensity of the scattered light is mainly depending on the 5 different factors. These are the particle size, wavelength of the incident light, scattered angle, relative index, and the relative index of the medium. So, in a static light scattering, coherent incident radiation, usually a laser, interacts with the components of the polymer backbone in a small scattering volume, and the excitation of polymer chain results in the re-emission of the radiation at the same wavelength and the frequency, but with a variable intensity. So, measurement of the intensity of a scattered radiation allows the calculation of molecular weight and the chain dimensions. Now, we discuss about the instrumentation of the scattering light scattering. You can see here that the instrumentation of SLS is very simple. Sample or the solution of the molecules under investigation are kept in cuvette, which is normally a cylindrical in shape. A monochromatic light source, usually a laser that shines light on the sample. The power of the light source is recorded continuously as its intensity of the light scattered from the sample. The detector can either be a photoiodide, that is cheap but relatively insensitive, or a photomultiplier tube, that is the PMT you can see here in the figure. So, the intensity of the power of the scattered light is measured as a function of the scattering angle, that is theta. The measured intensity is divided by the intensity of the incident laser beam, which is measured by the reference detector. This can be much less sensitive than the detector by measuring the scattered light. Here I try to show you the process of SLS in the form of animation. You can see here how the laser lights through monochromator incident on the sample, and then it is scattered in all the direction where we can measure the intensity of scattered light at different angle. So, for SLS experiment, a laser is used to illuminate the cuvette containing a sample to be analyzed. One or many detectors are used to measure the scattering intensity in dependence of the scattering angle, that is the theta. This so called scattering curve, that is the IS theta, contains information about the scattering of the particle, its shape and its molecular mass of course. In order to measure the average molecular weight, SLS instruments are calibrated using a well known reference material such as toluene, and the Rayleigh ratio of the toluene can be checked by the existing tables. Let us talk about the different types of detectors that can be utilized in the SLS. So, the angular dependence affects the intensity of the scattered light, and hence we can calculate the molecular weight. A right angle scattering detector collects the scattered light at 90 degree and it measures the molecular weight with a high sensitivity for a sample that scatter light isotropically, that is equally in all directions. However, it cannot measure the molecular weight of the anisotropic scatter, those affected by the angular dependence. A low angle light scattering detector collects scattered light at a 7 degree. It can measure molecular weight for all molecules, but has a lower signal to noise ratio. By combining RALS and LALS detector into a hybrid system, the molecular weight for all samples can be measured while maximizing the signal to noise ratio wherever it is required. It is therefore offers the strength of both LALS and RALS with none of their weakness. A multi-angle light scattering detector collects scattered light at many angles. This data is used to model the angular dependence to account for its molecular weight calculation. It can be measured molecular weight on both isotropic as well as anisotropic scatterer, and for the anisotropic scatterer can also measure the radius of gyration in all static light scattered. And instrument must be calibrated before the use. So, calibration can be performed using molecular weight standard of the scattering. A standard for each has an advantages and disadvantage that are described in the calibration section later. Now, we will discuss each types of detector in detail. So, first we will talk about the right angle light scattering detector. It measures only at 90 degree and have the best signal to noise ratio and sensitivity. It have a smallest flow cell and can only measure the molecular weight accurately for the molecules with an Rg value is less than 15 nanometer. These are excellent for measuring the protein molecular weight and cannot measure the Rg value. A right angle light scatter system has a number of advantages, such as it has a very straightforward instrument to build without any complicated optical system. All that it is required is a flow cell only with a window on the side which allow the cell to have a low volume. Since the light is passing through the small window liquid at the 90 degree, so flare to noise created by the change in the refractive index that is can be minimized. As a consequence, a right angle light scattering detector is the simplest form of the SL detector and having low noise and has the best signal to noise ratio and best sensitivity. Now, we will talk about the low angle light scattering, which measures at the lowest angle possible, and it is used for the measurement of molecular weight for all molecules with the highest accuracy. It have low volume flow cell, but cannot measure the Rg value. In simply, light from the laser enters at the end of cell and it is collected through the same exit window at a low angle, that is the 7 degree. When using left LALS, the Debye plot is reduced to a single point which is a very close to the y axis, and therefore, it equals to 1 by molecular weight for the all molecules. The LALS system again has a large number of advantages, such as it measures the sensitivity for light scattering at a very close to the axis of for the Zim plot. So, the calculated molecular weight has highest accuracy. In this system, the principle applies to measurement for the molecular weight for any molecules, as dedicated to LALS detector can have a small flow cell since it has only a small volume to accommodate for the one measurement angle. Overall, LAS measurement offers an accurate way to measure molecular weight using the static light scattering. LALS is particularly useful for measuring the molecular weight for large anisotropic scatterers such as synthetic and the natural polymers. Now we will talk about the hybrid detector, that is the combination of LALS and RALS. It is the hybrid system that combines RALS and LALS into a single unit. It uses RALS to maximize sensitivity for a weak scatterer and LALS to maximize the accuracy for the anisotropic scatterer. To maintain the small flow cell for the RALS and LALS detectors, enable RG to be estimated. Light from the laser enters at the end of the cell and collected at 90 degree through the same exit window as the low angle, for example 7 degree. When using RALS LALS, the Debye plot is reduced to 2 point where the RALS value is used to maximize sensitivity for isotropic scatterer and LALS value is used for the most accurate molecular weight for the anisotropic scatterer. The RALS LALS combination offers the following advantage, such as the RALS detectors offers the best sensitivity for smaller molecules and the LALS detectors offers the best sensitivity for the larger molecules. The two angles can be compared simultaneously in a software to get the best data at every point of the chromatogram. RALS and LALS hybrid can maintain in a small flow cell associated with both the detector. By combining the data from both angles, it is possible to measure the slope of the line on the Zim plot and calculate a good estimate of the RG value. That is the best advantage of the using combination of RALS and LAS. And the fourth one is the multi-angle light scatterer, which measures the intensity of light scattered at multiple angles and extrapolates back to 0. Measuring at multiple angles can increase the confidence in the data. Angles can be removed if required. It measures the molecular weight for the molecules of all the size. Not only this, it also measures the RG for the molecules bigger than 15 nanometer. It is difficult to know how to select the fit model. The design for the optics means MALS system have larger flow sets, and the complexity of the optical design may introduce noise and reduce accuracy. So, the optical complexity increases the cost of the system. MALS system offers a universal solution by measuring the molecular weight and RG value for all different types of the sample, but the nature of the design forces some compromises on the measurements. So, light from the laser enters at the end of the cell and the scattered light exit at different angles. The scattered light is collected by multiple detector. When using MALS, the Debye plot is completed and extrapolated back to 0, and the molecular weight is calculated from the intercept and RG value is calculated from the initial slope of the line. Since we are talking about the angle of the scattering light, so angular dependency are very important factor. So, the angular dependence at high molecular size, the intensity of light scattered will start to vary from the measurement angle, and we must account for this phenomena. This is called angular dependence. Isotropic scatterer are small, and that is the RG value less than 15 nanometer and have a little or no angular dependence in the intensity of light they scatter. However, the anisotropic scatterer for the larger particle RG value more than 15 nanometer, and the intensity of the light scatter varies with the angle. To accurately measure the molecular weight, we must account for this, and this is what different instruments do in the different way. If we account for the angular dependency by measuring it, that is the MALS, we can use the data to calculate Rg value, or a factor from which is related to the size of the molecule and the angle at which the scattering is determined. This is term defined as the angular dependency. This means that the larger molecules, the amount of light scatter will depends on the measurement angle actually. Now, we will talk about the light scattering and my theory. The complete solution for the Maxwell equation for the homogeneous sphere, incident light of only a single wavelength is considered. No dynamic scattering effects are considered. The scattering particle is isotropic and there is no multiple scattering. All particles are considered as a sphere and all particles have the same optical properties. Thus, the light energy may be lost to absorption by the particles applicable to all sizes, and need to know the refractive index to calculate the size of the particle. Now, we will discuss about the mathematical expression of the static light scattering. The main quantities influencing the light scattering intensity are the molecular weight, concentration and size of the particle in solution. Due to the long wavelength, particle size of nanometers typical for a protein can be interpreted as independent scattering center whose intensity interferes constructively. If the particle are big enough, that is the lambda by 20, the angle dependence change is in intensity can be observed. The Rayleigh ratio R is proportional to the intensity of a scattered light is introduced as a quantity independent of the experimental setup. To have a direct estimation of the results, the scattering intensity is normalized by the solution concentration C and reduced to the small concentration by using the equation Kc by Kr equals to 1 by m into 1 plus 1 by 3 Rg square Q square plus A2C, where A2 is called second virial coefficient which describes the interaction between the particles. Rg is the radius of gyration and K is the optical constant. The K is represented as 4 pi square n square divided by lambda Na into dN by dC. If the particle are big in size or interacting strongly, further angular and concentration dependent correction have to be considered, which is arising from the structure factor. Now, we will discuss about how the molecular weight are related to the scattering. So, the Rayleigh theory describes the relationship between the intensity of light scattered by sample and the size and its molecular weight. The properties of light scattered by molecules and particle vary and depending on the object doing the scattering. It is defined by the Rayleigh equation, that is Kc by R naught R theta into 1 by mw plus 2 A2C into 1 by p theta, where C is the sample concentration, theta is the measurement angle, Rg is the Rayleigh ratio, that is the ratio of a scattered light intensity to incident light intensity at a measurement angle theta, mw is the weight average molecular weight and A2 is the second virial coefficient. So, K can be further defined in terms of more complex form, that is that earlier I told you that K equals to 4 pi square divided by lambda to the power 4 into Na into n naught dN by dC whole square, where lambda naught is the laser wavelength in the vacuum, Na is the Avogadro number, N0 is the refractive index of the solvent and dN by dC is the refractive index increment of the sample, which can further expressed as 1 by p theta equals to 1 plus 16 pi square n naught square Rg square divided by 3 lambda square into sin square theta by 2, where Rg is the molecule's radius of gyration. So, the Rayleigh equation tells us that the intensity of a scattered light at a given angle is dependent on a number of factors including both molecular weight and molecular size of the sample under study. Let's discuss about the application of scattering light static light scattering. So, the static light scattering are used to measure the molecular weight ranges from 1000 gram per mole to 10 power 9 gram per mole. Its size ranges from 10 nanometer to 1000 nanometer. It used to estimate the interactions between the particle by using the second virial coefficient. It is used to measure the radius of gyrration, that is the Rg value, and sometimes it's provide detailed information on the shape of the particle. So, by measuring the intensity of scattered light as a function of scattered angle, that is a theta for unscattered light and at 180 degree for the light scattered directly back to the laser, it is possible to calculate molecular weight of the solute molecules and even the size of the molecules or the particles if these have a range 1 by 10 of the laser wavelength up to about 2 times of the laser wavelength. If one needs to determine the size of the particle or molecules which have a size outside this rather narrow range, other methods may be used. Light scattering intensity measured for 3 different sizes of the particle. The scatter intensity are corrected from the angle dependent scattering volume, and the dashed line are the just guidelines. The other application is the measurement of the second virial coefficient and the radius of gyration. The second virial coefficient is expressed as Kc by r theta equals to 1 by mp theta plus 2a2c, where a2 is called the second virial coefficient. The value of a2 is a measure of non-ideality of the solution or a measure of interaction forces between the dissolved particles. If a2 value is positive, the interparticle forces are repulsive, and if the negative, then forces are of course attractive. If the second virial coefficient is 0, the distribution is called ideal and there are not any interactions between the dissolved particles. As a consequence of light scattering is proportional to the concentration. The radius of gyration is simply if the solution contains a mixture of different kinds of particle or molecules, the calculated molecular weight and radius of gyration will be averaged value. These are the weighted average for the molecules weight and the radius of gyration pertaining to the different class of particle in the solution. Unfortunately, weighing strongly favors the larger molecular weight. The average value are called the weight average molecular weight MW, and Z average is the radius of gyration, that is the Rg value. Now, we discuss about the biological application of the static light scattering. It is used to monitor the growth of the aggregate. You can see here it is used to measure get the quantitative information. It provides an easy analysis and complemented with the other technique to see the kinetics of the aggregates growth in proteins especially. The other biological application includes therapeutic relevant insulin oligomerization. It is simply the oligomerization of any of the compound, any of the biological molecules which have tendency to form aggregates or oligomers. So, as the size of the particle oligomers increases, we can estimate their size by measuring the scattered light intensity. The SLS technique is also coupled with the size exclusion chromatography. So, to separate the molecular species according to size on HPLC column and the measures light scattering and derive the molecular mass of the individual fractions. You can see here in the figure that how the SLS technique is complemented or it is integrated to the gel filtration chromatography and to measure the concentration of individual fractions via the refractive index. Now, we will discuss about the calibration of static light scattering measurements. In static light scattering, we relate the magnitude of the signal from the photodetector to the intensity for the scattered light and then to the molecular weight of the sample, as well as the sample dependent factor described in the Rayleigh equation. The measured intensity of the scattered light will depending on the large number of instrument dependent variables. These include incident laser power, detector sensitivity, scattering volume, that is the volume of the intersection volume of the laser beam, and the detection optics, the distance from the scattering volume to the detector, and flare of refraction effects at the interface between the cell and the windows. The molecular weight extender based calibration are used. Calibration with the molecular weight extender calibrate all light scattering detector at the same time. The calibration in this way is done under the conditions of the measurements. This method also allows other detector calibration constants, interdetector volumes, and peak broadening correction to be calculated simultaneously. This method allows the calibration to be checked and repeated at any time. Now we will discuss about some limitation of the light scattering techniques, especially the SLS. The volume of the sample has to be higher than with some other methods. So, depends on the specific setup, but it is typically 1 ml volume is required. The concentration of sample has to be high enough. The lower the molecular weight, the higher is necessary. The concentration of high concentration is necessary. The sample solution must be completely transparent, that is the non-turbid solution is required. The sample solution should not absorb light of the wavelength that is used for the scattering, and the molecules in solution should have a refractive index which is different from that of the solvent. Now, we will talk about some benefits of this technique. It is a well established technique and easy to operate and yields high reproducible data. Apart from this, it have some disadvantage or drawbacks, that is the diluted sample changes in properties in tendency to oversize large weight particles, overestimates the number of small particles. Now, we will discuss about a simple comparison between the static light scattering with the dynamic light scattering. The intensity that reflects the molecular weight of the particle. SLS measures at many different angles, typically 10 to 100, and intensity average over the time, that is 1 second or more. If it talks in terms of fluctuation, it reflects the diffusion coefficient for the particle. DLS implies measurement in a time series and averaging over very short time intervals, typically 100 nanosecond. However, SLS measures the structural characteristic of the sample, but the DLS measures the diffusion of the sample, and that is the simply based on the Brownian motion of the particle. So, guys, now we have to summarize this module, that the scattering light scattering is a technique which used to measure the molecular weight of the particle using the relationship between the intensity of light scattered by the molecule and its molecular weight or the size. Light scattering is a well established technique to investigate the properties of particle in solution. Information such as size, molecular weight, diffusion and interaction strength are obtained by using the SLS. The basic principle is that a laser beam falls on the sample and a scattered intensity is probed at a certain angle by the detector. SLS implies measurement of the scattered light intensity at several scattering angle at least, but typically 10 to 100 degree. The intensity measured is mean intensity and average value of the at least 1 second. The molecular size information lies in how the intensity varies with the scattering angle. The mass, means the molecular weight information, lies on the absolute magnitude to the scattered intensity. It provides the molecular information that can be obtained only if the weight concentration of the dissolved particle is known. So, guys, I hope you have understand well about the static light scattering techniques. Thank you very much.